What is happening, guys? I hope you're all doing good. So today I'm here to essentially do a part 2 to my Aatrox reaction video. Surprise! So, some of you guys have been requesting for me to react to the Legend of Runeterra Voicelines, and it's been something that I've been really wanting to do. However, when I sort of went back and watched my initial Aatrox video again, I kind of noticed there was like a lot that I missed out on. You know, like nowadays I would like read the story, I would include like the champion spotlights, I would try to like find like more music videos and things like that that sort of like have the character in, and I really didn't do that for like the first few of these reactions that I did, so I kind of feel like I've maybe not done the characters as much justice as I would have liked. So I basically decided best way to solve this, do a part 2. Just do a sequel. Everyone occasionally loves a sequel sometimes, so depending on the movie. So we're gonna do a sequel to this. I'm basically gonna include things that I missed out on Aatrox's lore. Just want to have a bit more of a deeper delve into this character, and also they released like new lore in regards to like the Darkin war and like more Darkin characters, and all of that to me is super fucking interesting. My kind of general knowledge on Aatrox is basically Aatrox was a Shuriman soldier who basically worked to the end of his life and then got picked to be an Ascended, and eventually the Shuriman Empire unfortunately fell, and there was kind of multiple of them. The other ones that we've seen that are playable, for example, are like Rast, who is currently like inside the Weapon of Cain, and also Varus, who is, well, the character Varus, and obviously Aatrox. They're like our main 3 that we know are currently playable. They all basically began to fight with each other. There were other Darkin that we are now aware of as well in this lore, and unfortunately the Darkin War occurred, which was a lot of murdering and death and bloodshed and stuff. So the aspects basically ended up having to intervene with the aspect Zoe, basically having to sort of like tell the mortals how to basically trap these Darkin inside weapons, and that's what ended up happening. So Aatrox basically got sealed inside a weapon after fighting with the aspect of war, and that's pretty much where Aatrox has been since this point. So anyone who basically tries to wield one of these weapons, they end up kind of getting taken over by the Darkin, unless they are strong enough to sort of like withstand the power of this weapon, for example like Cain. So basically Aatrox is looking for a worthy host because he wants to get revenge on the aspects for what they did and him being trapped. So as we know, Aatrox as a character is basically, he's very much determined on destroying the world. He's very much determined on breaking free of these chains. He just wants everything to end. Like, that is Aatrox's character. He just wants this all to end, and the only ending he will be satisfied with is the ending of literally everything. So obviously not great. So we know that Aatrox has had run-ins with characters, for example Pantheon, who is currently the sort of host for the new aspect of war. That we also know that Aatrox really wants the character Tryndamere to be like his host for the weapon, because Tryndamere is a very strong warrior from the Freljord, so it would kind of make sense for Aatrox to kind of be wielded by him, because then he can kind of manipulate Tryndamere into like going to Targon to destroy the aspects. So that is kind of my basic surface level Aatrox knowledge. Let me know how I did. So we are going to first of all pick up with okay, so we're going to delve into the biography of Aatrox. Let's do this. So, Aatrox, the Darkin Blade. Whether mistaken for a demon or god, many tales have been told of the Darkin Blade, but few know his real name or the story of his fall. In ancient times, long before Desert Sand swallowed the Empire, a mighty champion of Shurima was brought before the Sun Discs to become the avatar of the now forgotten celestial ideal. Remade as one of the Ascended, his wings were the golden light of dawn, and his armour sparkled like a constellation of hope from beyond the Great Veil. I would love to see artwork of, like, the Ascended versions of, like, Varus, Rast, and Aatrox. I would, like, love to see that. I wonder if there is any. I'll have to see if I can find some, but that would be so cool to see, like, fan art of that, or that even be, like, a skin that, you know, that you could get in the future. That would actually be kind of awesome. Aatrox was his name. He was at the vanguard of every noble conflict. So true and just was his conduct that the other god warriors would always gather at his side, and tens of thousands of mortals of Shreema marched behind him. When Setaka, the ascended warrior queen, called for his help against the rebellion of Ithaca, Aatrox answered without hesitation. So that's another character that we haven't heard of before, Setaka, so that's interesting. It's nice to learn a little bit more about the history, and if that name comes up again, also the ascended warrior queen sounds absolutely cool as fuck. That's awesome. But no one predicted the extent of the horrors that the rebels would unleash. The void quickly overwhelmed its Ithacan masters and began the grinding annihilation of all life it encountered. So we have obviously heard of the void before. The void is, well, what is the void? I mean, that's the true question, isn't it? It's just a fucking litany of shite, isn't it, really? It's just wants to destroy the world. But yeah, we've obviously come across the void before with the Watchers in Lyssandra's story, where basically the Watchers pretty much like unleashed the void upon Ithaca, and there is a character who is linked to that, I think Zelene, who is like a character that essentially is like obsessed with time because he wants to like go back and like stop the void from essentially like destroying Ithaca completely. After many years of desperate battle, Aatrox and his brethren finally halted the Void's perverse advance and seared the largest rift shut, but the surviving Ascended, the self-described Sunborn, had been forever changed by what they had encountered. Though Shreema had triumphed, they had all lost something in their victory, even noble Aatrox. And in time, Shreema fell, as all empires must. Without any monarch to defend, or the existential threat of the void to test them, Aatrox and the Sunborn began to clash with one another, and eventually this became a war for the ruin of their world, aka the Darkin War. Mortals fleeing the conflict came to know them instead by a new and scornful name, the Darkin. Fearing these fallen Ascended were as dangerous of Runeterra's survival as the void incursions had been, the Targonians intervened. It is said that the aspect of Twilight, so that's Zoe, gave mortals the knowledge to trap the Darkin, and the newly reborn aspect of war united many in fighting back against them. Never fearing any foe, Aatrox and his armies were ready, and he only realised too late that they had been deceived. A force greater than 1,000 dead suns pulled him back inside the sword that he had carried into battle countless times, and forever bound his immortal essence to it. The weapon was a prison, sealing his consciousness in suffocating eternal darkness and robbing him of the ability to even die. For centuries, he strained against this hellish confinement, until some nameless mortal was foolish enough to try to wield the blade once more. Aatrox seized the opportunity, forcing his will and an imitation of his original form onto his bearer, though the process quickly drained all life from the new body. In the years that followed, Aatrox groomed many more hosts, men and women of exceptional vitality and fortitude. Though his grasps of such magic had been limited in life, he learned to take control of a mortal in a span of a single breath, and in battle he discovered he could feast on his victims to build himself even larger and stronger. What, like eat them? Like physically feast on them? Wait, what? What do you mean, like a little bit of cannibalism? Or do you mean, like, you know, like magically feast on their souls? Like, like wait, wait. I'm gonna need that clarified. Somebody's gonna have to clarify that. Okay. A bit weird, but okay. Cool. Well, it's not cool. It's actually really uncool. Bad Aatrox. Don't eat people, please. Aatrox travelled the land, searching desperately, endlessly for a way to return to his previous ascendant. But the riddle of the blade proved unsolvable, and in time he would realise he would never be free of it. The flesh he stole and cruelly shaped began to feel like a mockery of his former glory, a cage that only slightly larger than the sword. Despair and loathing grew in his heart. The heavenly powers that Aatrox had once embodied had been wiped from the world and all memory. Raging at this injustice, he arrived at a solution that could only be born of a prisoner's desperation. If he could not destroy the blade or free himself, then he would embrace oblivion instead. Now, Aatrox marches towards this merciless goal, bringing war and death wherever he goes. He clings to a blind hope. If he can drive all creation into a final apocalyptic battle where everything else is destroyed, then maybe he and the blade will also cease to exist. So it's really interesting to read this after reading and listening to Rast. So I did a previous video on Kane. If you want to check that out, you're more than welcome. And Rast is a very different Darkin compared to Aatrox. Like, I mean, all three of them, in Varys as well, like, all three of them that we have that are playable characters are really different to each other. Aatrox is definitely a lot more sort of driven to sort of literally just stopping existence. That's all he wants, because he doesn't see another way of getting out of this situation. Whereas, like, for example, Rast, he has a human host, so there's more kind of like fun interactive banter. It's a little bit more like Rast is just like almost like having fun in his form, and he's more like, he's a bit more carefree, and he still wants to kill things, but he doesn't care as long as he's getting to really do it. And he knows that him and Cain are sort of in this like struggle for control over Cain's body, but he can win sometimes as well. And it's this interesting dynamic. And then Varys is a whole other kind of, you know, kettle of fish, but I haven't really listened to Varys's voice lines yet, so that's something else that I'm gonna have to do in the future. Whereas like with Aatrox, he's very much at the point where he's just like desperate. He's just desperate to be free. He's just desperate for everything to end. It feels like so much more tragic than Rast, I have to admit. Even though they're both in the same situation, they've just reacted very, very differently, and it just shows how different these characters really are. Okay, so the next story is called The Cage. So I'm presuming this is going to be about the weapon, because, you know, this is the hilt of his sword. So, The Cage. Darkness. The breath I cannot take plagues me. It is an emptiness in my lungs and throat, as if I'd stopped mid-breath and then held my lungs cruelly waiting. My mouth open, throat hollow, unable to pull in air. My chest, the horrible tension on my thorax. Limbs and muscles refuse to move. I cannot breathe, I am choking. The pressure builds, the stillness spreads to my chest and limbs. I want to scream, to tear my face, to wail, but I am trapped. I cannot move, I cannot move. Darkness. I must remember, I rushed battle. I lost control, it was foolish. The mortals formed in ranks against me. I crashed into them, drank from them. The temptation was too great. As I reaped, I reforged their flesh into a better approximation of my true shape. Desperately, I consumed more and more, hoping for the briefest echo of what I once was. Instead, like a fire, I burned too quickly, destroying even my host's form. Darkness. It was raining when we fought. What if the mud and filth covered me? What if I'm hidden for thousands of years, trapped in this prison? The horror of that idea feeds my panic. The battle is ending. I feel it. I must will my form upright. I must. I have no arms or legs. The darkness binds me like a cocoon. No, I will will myself upright. But I cannot know if it's working. I cannot know anything but the darkness. Please, let some mortal find me, please. I beg the darkness endlessly, but the humiliation of my plea is answered only with silence. But then, I feel a mortal nearby. I have no eyes, no ears, but I can feel his approach. Fleeing from his adversaries. He must try to defend himself. He must grasp me. Can he see me? He could run past me. I would be left here. I feel his hand grip this foreman, and his consciousness opens up to me. I burrow into him, pulling him down. I'm like a drowning man thrown into the sea by a shipwreck, dragging myself to the surface by clawing past my fellows. What's happening? The mortal screams, but he is silenced by the darkness, the endless darkness I have just escaped. And I have eyes. I can see the falling rain, the muck, the blood of this slaughtering field. In front of me stand two weary knights with spears. I cut them apart and drink in their forms, recrafting this body to my needs. They are weak. I must move quickly. I must find a better wielder, a better host. Around me only are the dying and the dead. I hear their souls retreating from this world. The fight is not ended. It is moving inside the city walls. I force my new shape, limping, crawling towards the sound of battle, towards a better host. I roar, but not in triumph, never in triumph. I will drink from that city, but I will achieve only a grotesque mockery of my former glory. I was shaped by the stars and the purity of my aspect. I was light and reason given shape. I defended this world in the greatest battles ever known. Now, blood and ichor drips from this stolen flesh that decays. The muscles and bones struggle, tear and protest the abomination I have become. I can take a breath. No, Aatrox, I say, my voice wet and echoing off the dead that surround me. We will go onward and onward and onward until the final oblivion comes. Wow. God, it's a really fascinating look into his mentality. And like I've said before, I mean, Aatrox is a very, very different Darkin compared to the other Darkins. I mean, it feels like he feels more, you know, he has more of a range. There was regret that we saw in this. There was, you know, there was anger, there was hatred, there was this desperation, but there was like regret too. Like when he was saying it, like there's literally a bit in it where he was saying about the battle I lost control, it was foolish. Like right there, like he regrets his actions in this Darkin war. He regrets his anger. He regrets the way he felt and his actions. And it's really fascinating that like you've got this like Darkin who wants to end the entire world and just end everything, and he's regretting things that he's done. And I think it shows that human side is still there. There's still that link to his own humanity, which you don't necessarily see in the other Darkin as much, I feel. But like I said, I don't know a great deal about Varys. I've seen some of Varys' stuff and read the comic, and it was really good. But yeah, especially with Rast, you don't see it as much, whereas with Aatrox, you can definitely see the humanity there. So, the next thing we've got to watch is we have got a trailer for the Runeterra release of Aatrox's character, so let's give that a watch.
I remember this place and the endless blood.
I forgot how good Aatrox's voice is. It's so good! It's so good! Oh my god.
They cast us to the corners of the world.
Ooh.
We used weapons of war, then became them. Not even realms could divide us, old friend. War is no place for cowards.
I'm excited for the animation. Oh. I was like, ooh.
All must end.
Yes.
I am doomed.
Bruh, it's so good.
We were never
Holy
fated
fuck.
to bow. No, Pantheon. You were fated to die.
I'm gonna assassin Pantheon. I love it.
Pray, fool.
Oh god.
Apocalypse comes.
Wow.
Yes, oblivion.
Wow. God, these Aatrox card designs are amazing. Okay, so I found a video that looks like it kind of gives us like the interactions with like Aatrox with like different characters, and it looks like there's a few of the Darkin in here and stuff, so this should be quite interesting. So initially this one we already know is going to be quite fascinating because the relationship between Pantheon and Aatrox is not particularly great, and they hate each other a lot. Obviously Pantheon is the sort of new host to the aspect of war, and obviously the aspect of war was one of the aspects that had a big role in Aatrox getting trapped in his weapon in the first place. So
my sword, they already do. And bring me peace.
ooh,
War is no place for cowards.
that's a cool weapon. Double like sided
For
things.
too long have I butchered your statues. You will obey your general, coward.
No, you will obey your blood.
Wait, I have never heard Solani's voice before. Whoa. I mean, they all have this weird like tone to it, but like I don't know, she kind of reminded me of a bit of like an Undertale character. I don't know why. It sounded really strange. I wonder why. I'm fascinated. I really want Solani to be playable.
To me, Aatrox, we have a common enemy.
Oh.
There is no greater enemy than cowardice.
What did Solani do? Did she run away?
There she is, the coward of Acacia.
Oh, what did you do?
Aatrox, come to me. You never would listen, Aatrox, but now you will.
What is the deal here? I'm so curious.
Not bend as easily as your puppets, coward.
Puppets? Wait, Solani's cool.
Blade
Wait!
Acacia himself. Good.
Holy
Let us
fuck.
end this madness, Solani.
Oh my god. Okay, playable
Yours is the
when?
one death I will abide.
Oh, come on.
I've waited centuries for this, coward.
I just love how they look like Dark Souls villains. It makes me so happy. This is so cool.
You are soft, Varus, weak, too human.
Interesting.
At least I remember my lost mortality.
Ooh.
Seek revenge, brother, not oblivion.
So they don't, so like Varus doesn't approve of him
Mortal
wanting to destroy
emotions
everything.
are unbecoming of a Darkin.
But Aatrox does have some mortal emotions. That's the kind of interesting thing here, is like Aatrox has shown regret, which is a very human emotion, you know, to regret having done something. But that's intriguing to see that there's actually like discord between the Darkins themselves, because clearly they don't agree with Aatrox just wanting to destroy everything, but then I guess that's because they would cease to exist as well. Fascinating. Lady Ithra, oh my god.
Acathia has dulled, we see.
I love Varus's
matter,
voice.
It will take only a single swing to fell you.
By my spear, the gods will no war.
By my sword, they already do.
I love that line. It's so
We
like,
were
oh my
never
god.
fated to bow.
No, Pantheon, you were fated to die.
The roast.
I long for the day when this is over.
Oh, I love Varus's voice as well.
As do I, Rune Mage.
Aw. Wonder how they know each other.
The Rune Mage, come to watch his precious world die.
Well, I guess, to be fair, from the very little I know about Rise, he does have the world runes. Or he's looking for the world runes, I think. And obviously he doesn't want the world to perish, so I'm presuming he must be trying to stop Aatrox in some way.
No, come to stop you, whatever it takes.
I love Rise's voice, oh my god.
Enough, Aatrox. Stop this madness.
Madness is exactly what I will end, Rise.
You would destroy all this for your peace?
Yeah, he would.
It is the only path, and so I gladly walk it. I pray time has mended you, Captain.
What is that?
Is the Captain ready to serve his general once more?
Oh, is it another weapon?
It waited in the dark, the void.
Oh.
Easy, Captain. Your peace is at hand.
Oh, so this is another Darkin that works under Aatrox.
You're alive. A curse we shall both break this day.
Ooh.
Only a dead star could withhold your power, Horazi. Stand, Horazi! We must fight once more!
Wait, so is this like a story of him getting all the other Darkin, like finding them?
Come, Aatrox. Darkness beckons.
Oh my god, look how cool they
The
look.
darkness I will readily embrace.
Oh my god. I love the
Old
wings.
friend, let us embrace oblivion.
I am ready to watch existence die.
Oh, so Aatrox is like gathering his like team.
Ibaros, is that you?
There's so many of them. Oh my god, what?
Such power. Ibaros, old friend,
Ooh.
let us end this. I will speak for us both, old friend.
Wait, can he not speak? Huh.
Ascension took death from us, and peace.
These weapons are really cool, actually.
What became of the Blessed Isles?
Okay, wait. How is this linking to the Blessed Isles? Wait, so Aatrox wasn't obviously there when the Blessed Isles got destroyed and became the Shadow Isles. Oh, so he doesn't know. But then how does the Blessed Isles link into his story anyway? Unless... that's interesting. I guess they must have just been somewhere that was, like, around back when Shurima was at its, like, you know, back when the Ascended were more active. the Blessed Isles must have still been around. So they're like, I guess timeline wise, the Darkin War occurred and the fall of the Blessed Isles to become the Shadow Isles must have occurred afterwards. I've seen this before.
Together once more.
I was not. These voices are so interesting. I love how there's a real distinction between the Darkin's voices and the like just the normal humans. I didn't realize there were so many Darkin. Like there are so many of them, and all the designs are so unique. I have seen this one before though, because I talked about this one in the Kane video, and it reminds me of the Gaping Dragon from Dark Souls. A little bit.
This is the last war, Tarosh. Then peace.
But a lot of them seem to be like fully down with like destroying everything apart from like Varus.
Did the coward try her tricks on you?
And Alani.
Yes, General, but old scars remember their lessons.
I'm so curious about Alani. She seems to be very against.
Vandal magic, Balcox.
Wait.
Two great powers somehow spliced together.
Ooh. Wait, has this one somehow got links to Vandal City?
I forget the names of my kin.
What is that?
We used weapons of war, then became them. They cast us to the corners of the world.
That looks like the ice that Lysandra has, where like the Watchers are trapped in it.
This
Ooh.
was the thanks we were offered.
So is one of the Darkin trapped in that ice? That's interesting. In the Freljord?
Return to me, soldier of war.
Oh my god, there's a Darkin with a fan. That is sick. Oh.
Not even realms could divide us, old
So there's
friend.
just Darkin that haven't been revealed. Holy fuck.
There
There's
is
so
no
many.
music as soothing as silence.
Oh, I guess he's not
The
super sad
song
about that
of
one.
war must sound one more time.
I will end the Diane system.
Oh my god. Oh my god. It's Sweat of Justice. I feel like fangirling right now. I'm like, oh my god, it's Kayla Morgana's mum. Holy fuck. I didn't think, oh my god, look. Wow. I love the design. I have to admit, I absolutely adore this design, but holy shit. Because yes, obviously people mentioned to me that there was this whole story with the aspect of justice and Kale and then the Darkin. There was like a whole thing that came out, and obviously I'm going to learn a little bit more about it right now. Oh my god. I'm so curious. I love the voice.
Yes, come face me.
Oh, this design is amazing. So cool.
I remember this place and the endless blood.
Oh, wow.
Solani, I will break you on your altar.
Oh, so does she have, like, people that worship her as well?
This is the final war.
Oh.
Darkin, awaken.
Ow. So he's, like, summoning the Darkin.
We are unshackled.
Interesting. How? Have they found, like, powerful enough human hosts?
I will raise chaos.
God, this music is so good.
Apocalypse comes. I am the world ender.
It's so cool.
Runeterra must die.
Wow. Oh. If Aatrox...
Bring oblivion.
Oh my god, that image is amazing. If Aatrox does not feature in the MMO as a main boss to fight, I'm gonna have a problem. Okay, so that left me with some serious questions as to that whole plot. So, I mean, my main questions are basically, who is Zalani? Clearly someone that betrayed Aatrox maybe during the Darkin War, obviously had some links to Ithaca, so maybe during that battle, she betrayed them in some way. I'm very curious about Zalani. I wonder if she's going to be playable in the future. Oh my god, I'm literally hoping so, because oh my god, that would be so cool. And obviously, I know there is a story, but I can't seem to find it, of Kale and Mahira, the aspect of justice, and then Aatrox in this Darkin fight, but I can't seem to find a story, so I don't really know, like, where this story is, but It just sounds so good. So that was really fascinating, though. It definitely seems like Aatrox has got a lot more powerful. He's literally summoning freaking Darkins to come to him and fight, which means they all must have found strong enough hosts, is what I'm wondering. Or somehow have they been able to break free of their weapons and resume their, like, forms? Like, I don't know. But he definitely seemed to have a lot of the Darkin on his side. I think the only two that didn't agree with him there were Varus and Zolani. Everyone else was pretty much on board with, like, Oblivion, and then we didn't even see any interactions with him and Kayn and Rast, so I don't know how Rast feels about that. I'm presuming Rast will be similarly feeling to Varus, but I'm guessing that Aatrox won't be afraid of striking down Varus and Rast if they get in his way in this case. Wow, that's fascinating. Oh god, that was good. Okay, so now we're gonna watch the champion spotlight for Aatrox, because I never watched this either.
Blade. A fallen god warrior bound to an ancient weapon, Aatrox is hellbent on bringing total obliteration upon everyone who crosses his warpath. He's an unstoppable juggernaut that dishes out massive damage with mid-ranged attacks, fighting till death, and then some.
It's interesting though, because you don't actually see him being used that much, considering how, like, cool he is. Like, he's not actually used that often, from what I can see, which just seems a bit of a shame.
Passive is Deathbringer stance. Every once in a while, Aatrox's next basic attack has increased range and damages the target for a percentage of their maximum health.
That's actually quite
His attack also
high
reduces
amount.
all healing and shielding on the target for a few seconds. Deathbringer stance's cooldown is slightly reduced whenever Aatrox activates an ability, and additionally when he lands the edge of his Q, the Darkin Blade, on a champion. Speaking of which, let's talk about his Q, the Darkin Blade. Aatrox swings his greatsword up to 3 times. Each cast increases in damage and impacts a different area of effect. His Q has a sweet spot. Precise hits with the Darkin Blade further increase the damage and knock up targets. On the first cast, the sweet spot is at the very tip. On the second, it's along the outer edge. And on the final cast, it's at the very center, immediately in front of Aatrox. Each cast of the Darkin Blade brings the hitbox closer to Aatrox.
Pretty big damage.
To go 3 for 3. Each Q also increases the damage, regardless if you landed the previous one.
Definitely very
twice
tanky.
as much on the final cast. Now that's what I call tons of damage.
Yeah, very
Aatrox can be a
tanky.
real bastard sword in lane. The range on his Q lets him poke, punish, and push lane against melee and even mid-range foes. You know what they say, 2-handers are better than 1. Aatrox W is Infernal Chains.
Whoa.
Aatrox smashes the ground, damaging and slowing the first enemy hit. If it's a champion or large monster, they're chained to the impact area. If they don't leave the area to break the tether, they're dragged to the center and take damage again. If they break free, they'll be insubordinate and churlish. Infernal Chains pulls enemies to the same spot every time, uses to tee up a Q for the perfect smackdown. Aatrox's E is Umbral Dash, which can store up to 2 charges. Passively, Aatrox heals for a portion of the physical damage he deals. When activated, he dashes a short distance and gains attack damage for a few seconds.
Oh wow, it's really good for gaining on enemies.
In combination with his other abilities to reposition, helping you land abilities like the sweet spot of the Darkin Blade.
Yeah, that's really good. You can, like, catch up
much like the real
very
dash,
quickly.
to be used for chasing or escaping, but it's just enough to get you over some walls. Ta-da!
So
Use
it's always
Umbral
useful.
Dash mid-swing to match your opponent's movements and claim more Q hits. Aatrox's ultimate is World Ender.
Oh, the wings!
Did you think you could kill me?
Aatrox unleashes his full
Voice
might,
acting is
becoming
so
monstrous
good.
in size and taking flight on massive wings. As he transforms, Aatrox fears nearby minions and briefly increases his movement
Whoa!
speed. The speed bonus is reactivated while out of combat.
That was everyone.
While transformed, Aatrox's attack damage is increased and he gains a blood well that revives him if he takes lethal damage.
Oh, that's actually pretty
The
sick.
blood well fills up over World Ender's duration, meaning the longer you've transformed, the more health you'll have upon reviving. As long as you die before you return to your puny humanoid form.
Oh, that's actually sick. So you could literally have, like, full health. Oh, like half health, sorry, half health.
With World Ender, you can
That's
really wing it.
pretty
The extra
awesome.
damage and revive means you can tower dive with impunity. When you're far away from the fight, you can ult early to give your doom some zoom and arrive while the party is still going
Why
strong.
have I never tried Aatrox?
Your screams will be like the soothing hum of insects and dust.
Because this would be
When you're ready to
great.
bring ruin, go big with World Ender. Once you're in the war zone, lock down lesser warriors with infernal chains and make them cry with a QQQ. As chaos unfolds, use Umbral Dash and Flash to stay on top of your fodder and treat them to the sweet spot of your blade.
Wow.
Don't bother running from a Darkin. None can escape their wrath.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to the Aatrox Champion Spotlight.
The music is just amazing.
Annihilated.
Oh, the skins, they're so good. I think the initial one is just my favorite out of those though. Like the initial skin is just amazing. Okay, so the other thing that I found that I didn't get to watch last time was there is actually a music video made by League of Legends. I don't know a lot about this. I think what I could see is that this is like a famous like sports person who's really into League, and they're like a Tryndamere main, but it's got Aatrox in it, and it's also got the song Judgment from Devilman Crybaby, which is an anime. So I wanted to take a gander at this because I already think this looks kind of cool, but I was just like, I haven't seen it, so I want to watch it, so we're gonna give it a watch.
Rated T for T.
Here comes Hayward. Pass inside,
Oh my
it
god.
goes up, and oh my goodness. He comes down hard.
Oh, the Aatrox. I love the anime style.
Broken his leg.
Hayward had a gruesome
Oh.
injury last night, dislocating his ankle and fracturing his tibia. All of us watching at home were just holding our breath.
Just devastating.
Aw.
I have never seen anything like it. His season is over. He's not coming back.
Oh. Oh my god. I've always wanted to see the fight between Tryndamere and Aatrox as well. This animation style is gorgeous as well. Oh, that was a really good video actually. It's something that they do a lot with the other like League of Legends, like some of the music videos that they've done where they like have like where they have like players of League of Legends and they have them like as characters and they have like the go-between of those. They clearly did that with this Gordon Hayward, who looks like was a basketball player. I really like that. I think they're a Tryndamere main from what I could tell from like the comments and stuff as well. So like, yeah, I really like that video. It was a nice little comparison. I love the art style and the music. It was like really great to see that like anime style with a bit of League. It was just like a fun comparison. But yeah, that was fun. I liked that. It was good. Okay, so the final thing I thought I would do, which I know is not the current login screen. However, I did find the previous login screen for the previous version of Aatrox. We listened to the new login screen in my last video, so I figured like we'll end this by listening to the older one because like I just kind of want to take a listen because I've never heard it before. So let's take a listen. Okay. I love getting to see things like this because it's fun to see like how far they've come design wise. Because obviously League is, you know, getting on an older game now, and this was from over like 7 years ago. I definitely prefer the design now, I will say. But the sword's kind of cool, but they have kind of kept some aspects of that. And they've kept generally a similar design, but you can definitely see where they've improved it. It's a bit Stranger Things-esque, isn't it? Ooh. This is a ball! Holy shit! Okay, this is a little bit Final Fantasy X boss fight. I'm digging this. Ooh, I liked that a lot. Ooh, that was really good. Oh, I don't know if I prefer this one or the new. I mean, the new theme's more like rock though, and it is really cool to have like rock music with fantasy. It's one of my favorite things. I love it. I like them both. I definitely like them both. This theme is actually really good though. Like that was great. That was part 2 of my Aatrox video. Overall, really enjoyed that. I really liked getting to have a look further into the story of Aatrox and his characterization. It was really nice to get to see like a different side of him with the voice lines that we went through for Legend of Runeterra, and like how he interacts with like the other Darkin. Like he is definitely not as strict. He definitely, you know, wants to be like a good leader for them, and it's interesting to see him in that role, because obviously we know that he did that stuff, but it was cool to get to see the interactions between him and the other Darkin who are in like the same sort of place as him, and that like they were like almost like comforting each other in like the situations that they're in, whereas like compared to like his interactions with like Pantheon and like Zalani and Mihira, like it was just like pure like, you know, there was like anger, it was more like fierce, it was more aggressive, and definitely more of the case of like, if you get in my way, I'm gonna like get you out of my way. And especially with Varus, I wasn't expecting him to be quite so like harsh with Varus, but I do understand, because obviously, you know, him and Varus clearly want very different things. I would definitely be curious as to what his interactions with like Kayn would be like Kayn and Rast, but it wasn't something that they gave us, unfortunately. But overall, I really enjoyed that. It was nice to get to read those bits and see some of his skills and everything. So overall, yeah, I'm glad that I managed to get to do this. So yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. There is plenty more content on this channel for you to enjoy. And if you want me to go back over any of the other previous champions that I've covered, or you want me to do any future champions, please let me know down in the comments below. And yeah, if you didn't know, I'm also a Twitch streamer, so you can come check me out over at Twitch TV. It's georgieegames. We stream a variety of things over there, so you can come and say hi sometime. That would be awesome, and hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.